We welcome you to the NovaCare Complex on this Wednesday, a peek behind the curtain as the Eagles prepare for another tough test on Sunday. The Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. Our coverage presented by DraftKings. Hello, everyone. I'm Eagles insider Dave Spadaro, along with Fran Duffy. Just a couple days after a very tough loss on Monday night to Seattle, the players practicing without helmets on. And Fran, it just doesn't get any easier. We knew that this stretch would be a tough one for the Philadelphia Eagles, for Doug Peterson, for Jason Kelce, who played in his 100th consecutive game on Monday night. And certainly the 8-3 Packers will be difficult to beat on Sunday.
The Jason Kelce hair flowing in the wind as we talk about this game. Obviously, look, a tough loss once again Monday night. They don't have a lot of time to wallow in that loss because you've got a tough test here Sunday afternoon up in Lambeau Field, as you mentioned, against the Packers team that is really, really good on both sides of the football. They do a lot of different things the Eagles have to prepare for. You've got some familiarity with it, but you still have to prepare for one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
So the Eagles making some roster moves. Let's get you caught up there before we talk about the Eagles and the Packers and Aaron Rodgers and how difficult it will be on Sunday. The Eagles today activating Zach Ertz off injured reserve. So Carson Wentz's favorite target will be on the field on Sunday. Fran, 40 catches away from tying Harold Carmichael for the all-time franchise record. We'll talk about what the benefit it can have to Carson Wentz, who really is looking for any kind of spark in his game. Eagles also activating wide receiver J.J. Arcega-Whiteside off the reserve COVID list. Lane Johnson goes to IR. Yesterday, the Eagles promoting safety Grayland Arnold to the active roster and waiving one of their free agent signings, Will Parks. Let's talk, Fran, about Zach Ertz and what that means. Richard Rodgers has been productive. Dallas Goedert has been productive. How much can you play with three tight ends on the field at one time?
It's a good question. And, the equation that the coaching staff is always trying to find the answer to is how do we get the best five on the field at any given moment? And if they feel at certain points, depending on the matchup, that they want to get at least two and maybe three of these tight ends on the field at once, we'll see if they decide to do that. That being said, you've got a lot of young receivers that you want to continue to see take reps, right? So I'm interested to see ultimately what the rotation looks like on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, getting Zach Ertz back, big for Carson Wentz. He's got a lot of faith in Zach, and also working in the middle of the field has not been necessarily a strength of this passing game so far. So I think ultimately getting another guy that can impact the middle of the field will be helpful as well.
Getting that guy involved would help as well. In the last three games, all losses, Travis Fulgham, 4 catches, 32 yards. Eagles just not getting a lot of production from the wide receivers and down the field passes, explosive plays. We've talked about it all year. To me, really, Fran, that is the missing component in this offense, those chunk plays. I mean, you look at the scoring drives the other night against the Seahawks. It's just a lot of plays, long drives, matriculating the football off the field. That's not how you score a lot of points in the NFL. And the Eagles averaging just 21.5 points per game.
The Eagles the other night had 24 plays on first down. They averaged 2.1 yards per play on first down. That's tough. That is a really, really tough to overcome because you are having to constantly try to convert on third down, and you're slinking the ball down the field. It is a very tough formula to win with.
And I think Carson averaged at the end of the day after that late touchdown 3.5 yards per pass attempt. Meanwhile, Russell Wilson up around 7 yards per pass attempt. So Eagles continue to look for some punch. Now, we believe that the offensive line will come back intact from Monday night, which would mark only the second time this season that the Eagles would start the same offensive line combination in back-to-back games. That would mean something, right? Like, that's kind of a big deal for an offense trying to get some sort of spark, some sort of consistency.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot written about the Eagles and some of the struggles they've had up front, handling different stunts and twists and things like that. When you play 22 different offensive line combinations, that's going to happen because you don't have that continuity, you don't have that communication, that feel. Regardless of how long they've been playing together, if you haven't been doing it week after week, day after day, it takes a little bit of time to get back into that groove. And so, certainly getting that communication back, not only does it help in that aspect, but even in a lot of their zone blocking schemes, because with zone blocking, you need to have that feel of what the guys next to you are doing. You have to feel that there's a timing and rhythm to that. So that will certainly help both the run game and the pass game, having a little bit of continuity.
Now, as the offense looks to get better, the defense hopefully plays at the same level that it played out on Monday night and that it's played out in recent games. Nice job against Russell Wilson. Nice job against Seattle. 2 touchdowns, 3 field goals. And Rodney McLeod and crew, it doesn't get easier with Aaron Rodgers. In 5 games this year, 5 different games, he's thrown for 4 or more touchdowns, 33 touchdowns passing this year. That is first in the league. His average yards per pass attempt, 8.7 yards, first in the league. And his passer rating, first in the league. And the Eagles know it well. He passed for 422 yards last year against the Eagles, although Philadelphia held him to 2 touchdown passes and came up with that big late-game interception at Lambeau Field. Probably the best win of the last couple years of the Doug Peterson era, that 34-27 win over Green Bay last September at Lambeau.
And certainly one of the big takeaways from that game, going back and rewatching the film from that, Dave, 0 sacks, 0 turnovers for on the offense. And I mentioned that first down stat earlier. On first down in that game, they ran for 5 yards a carry on 20. So you're talking about just a complete different side of efficiency on first down. You might say, oh, well, what's the big difference between 2 yards per play and 5.5 yards per play? That is a huge difference in opening up the playbook and allowing you to have a lot of flexibility, run pass option, all the different things that you can do. It's a lot different when it's 2nd and 5 as opposed to 2nd and 8.
And Fran, we also saw in that game the Eagles getting some big plays on special teams, the big Miles Sanders kickoff return.
Yep.
The offense starting in good field position, something that has been very rare in 2020. So Carson Wentz backed up throughout the season, but no excuses. Number 11 needs to be better. He says he needs to be better. This offense clearly needs to improve. And on a short work week, I'm not really certain how much you can change from Monday night to next Sunday.
Yeah, all you can do is execute everything that's out in front of you. And they'll be going up against a defensive coordinator with Philly ties and Mike Pettin with the Green Bay Packers. And, what they'll try and do defensively, they play a lot of sub-package. They're a fast group. They don't blitz as much as you would think. Mike Pettin coming from Rex Ryan, you would think it's going to be a lot of different blitzes and things like that. They haven't necessarily been doing that as often this year. That being said, a lot of speed on the field. They've created some turnovers over the last couple of weeks. They're a little bit of a streak there. You want to make sure that you protect the football against this group. Don't give Aaron Rodgers the freebies. If he's going to get his, you can't give him the free ones either.
Green Bay 8-3. Rodgers leading the way. After a controversial draft pick, the Packers selecting Jordan Love round 1.
Trading up for him, too.
And Aaron Rodgers has just shrugged that off to have an MVP caliber season. So the challenge is a significant one for the Eagles, still in the race in the NFC East at 3-7-1. This is our continuing coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles 2020 practices at the NovaCare Complex. Our coverage presented by our friends at DraftKings. I'm Eagles insider Dave Spadaro, along with Fran Duffy. So glad you are with us. So glad that we are all in this together throughout this very tough struggle of a 2020 season. Fran, I don't think anybody saw this coming for the Eagles, and yet still in the game in the NFC East. I mean, we feel like, hey, there's a possibility you win one of these games against Green Bay, New Orleans, Arizona, then you sweep the last 2 games, get to 6 wins. Is that enough to win in the NFC East?
Ultimately, it's going to come down, in my opinion, to those final 2 games, Dave. You play against Washington, you play against Dallas in those final 2 weeks. Those 2 are going to be pivotal, but being able to get one of these is going to be so important, for this team as well. So when you're looking at the next 3, Green Bay, New Orleans, and Arizona, all you can do is go one at a time and figure out what do we have to do to beat Green Bay this week up in Lambeau in December, a tough place to come away with the W.
And Jim Schwartz has seen a lot of Aaron Rodgers through the years, from his time in Detroit in the NFC North, and then, of course, here with the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles also making one other roster move to give you the heads up on it. And kind of an interesting story here, Fran. Kayvon Seymour, who played at USC, hasn't been in the NFL, since 2018. A draft pick by Buffalo in 2016, 6th round. Good size, 6 foot. A lot of injuries in his career. Played with Carolina 2017 through 2018. And is going to get a look here. You never know. This is the time of year when the roster changes a lot. and you look for that one guy who might be able to help you.
Yeah, and I really am interested to see how teams, not just the Eagles, but how teams all across the NFL treat that this year, because you're right. This is the year where you're going to start to see some turnover on the roster, especially the practice squad. And with the practice squad rules being what they are this year, and it being the expansion and no limitations in terms of experience in the NFL, I think you'll see a lot of movement. I'm interested to see, what can Seymour bring? Yeah, and they'll get a look at him in practice and see if he's got anything left. See if he can make an impact for this team down the road.
Fran, they're going to see if he has more.
That's true. That's not
I mean, look,
bad.
I got nothing, so I'm trying to lighten the mood here.
Yeah, Seymour, I remember when he came out of USC. He was an interesting player, and he played a couple years in the league, and he's got inside-outside versatility. I remember that from when he was at USC. We'll see if he's got anything.
The weather forecast on Sunday in Green Bay, high of 37, low of 27, just 5% chance of humidity, precipitation rather. So it should be a good day for December at Lambeau Field, the best road environment in the NFL. It's so pure. It's so perfect. And on Sunday, I guess it'll be so empty.
I was going to say, I wonder what that feeling will be like. I mean, you've been there pregame when there's no fans in the stands. You kind of get
it's
that
just
feel,
a big
that aura.
old stadium.
Yeah.
That's just, looks, if you appreciate the history of football, you feel it coming from the stands, from the bleachers. But what really makes it special is that the fans are in a very enclosed environment,
right,
and they create a lot of noise. But again, the Eagles went on the road last year and picked up a key victory, something that they need to do. 3 straight losses since the bye week, Fran. We were sitting here after that bye week saying, hey, the Eagles are in good shape.
Yep.
All these players coming back. The NFC East right there for the Philadelphia Eagles to take. And now all of a sudden it's New York and Washington, and the Eagles are looking up at those two teams.
Yeah, and it was a tough loss against New York coming out of the bye. You had the tough one in Cleveland in the rain. There was so much that could have gone differently in that one. And then obviously what happened on Monday night. So it's been a rough stretch. They've got to get out of it. They have not had a win in a month. It would be good to kind of get off the schneid this week against Green Bay.
Dave Spadaro and Fran Duffy with you on this Wednesday here at the NovaCare Complex. Our coverage of the Eagles 2020 season presented by DraftKings. Glad to have them on board and taking a look at the Eagles on a short work week, first day back on the field after that loss on Monday night without helmets. Kind of a 10-10-10 practice.
A little bit, yep.
And got to get ready in a very short period of time for an outstanding Green Bay Packers offense. Let's talk about the Packers beyond Aaron Rodgers.
Sure.
Fran, that wide receiver core, I guess I would expect Darius Slay on Devontae Adams, but who's got over 70 catches. But the Packers can go 4 and 5 deep on you at wide receiver.
Yeah, because they've had injuries at receiver over the last couple of years. They've had to play a lot of young guys, and so they've got a lot of guys with experience that have pretty defined roles. You look at Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He's tall and long and lean, but he's explosive. He is their vertical threat down the field. You have Alan Lazard, who's fresh off his own injury. He is back. He is a big possession receiver. He was a lot of people thought he would be a tight end coming out of Iowa State, but he has fit in well in Green Bay as a really reliable pass catcher for Aaron Rodgers. They're getting a lot of production from a young tight end, Robert Tonyan, who's long former college receiver who can get down the field. He caught a touchdown on a long play, a double move down the field last week against Chicago. So you're looking at those guys in the receiving core, but when you're talking about pass game, you got to also factor in the running backs, namely Aaron Jones, who's one of the most dynamic pass catchers at the running back spot in the NFL, and they use him all over the formation. That's a test for everybody, not just, the linebackers match up with the running backs. The safeties are going to be involved with trying to defend Aaron Jones down the field as well.
And there's safety Kayvon Wallace, who should see more time.
Yeah.
The Eagles releasing Will Parks, a little celebration there. Duke Riley on the ground, helped up by TJ Edwards. So that is our look at the Philadelphia Eagles practice on this Wednesday at the NovaCare Complex, presented by DraftKings. For Fran Duffy, I'm Dave Spadaro saying thanks so much for joining us. We will see you throughout the week as we count down to Sunday's kickoff at Lambeau Field. Everyone have yourselves a great Eagles day, and as always, fly, Eagles, fly.